Official revealed today that the U.S. government is investigating more than 600 potential UFO sightings.
Of course, we're talking UFOs again.
On UFO sightings today, saying an additional 366 sightings.
A UFO whistleblower in the U.S.
UFOs are one of the most intriguing mysteries that have fascinated and puzzled people for decades. There have been countless sightings around the world, with witnesses reporting strange objects in the sky, unusual lights, and unexplained aerial phenomena. In recent years, the topic of UFOs has gained even more attention as governments declassify documents and acknowledge that some sightings remain unexplained. Join us today as we explore some of the most shocking UFO encounters in history, incidents that continue to raise questions about what we might not fully understand. So let's dive straight into the UFO incident that happened over Denver on June 16, 2016. I'll take you right to the moment. No unnecessary fluff. Just me talking to you about what exactly went down that day. Derek Bolton was driving around the Denver Technological Center, which, if you aren't familiar, is a business district in the southeastern part of Denver, Colorado. Pretty normal day, right? That is, until he spotted something odd in the sky. It was something he couldn't explain. Thankfully, he managed to capture it on video, though it was a bit shaky because, well, he was driving and trying to film this thing at the same time. Now, the object he caught on camera wasn't your average balloon drifting in the wind. Derek described it as being roughly the size of a Cessna airplane. Imagine that. A big, strange object hovering above a business district. What's even weirder is how this thing was moving. It wasn't bobbing up and down like you'd expect with something being tossed around by the wind. Instead, it was steady, eerily steady. It moved in a straight line, like it had a purpose. As you might guess, the video wasn't the best in terms of quality. Again, Derek was driving, but he managed to get some close-up shots. He said it was about half a mile away from where he was driving, and that's when he lost it. The object just kept moving, and soon enough, it was out of sight. The whole thing left him, and honestly, a lot of us who saw the footage scratching our heads. Denver's got a reputation for strange occurrences, especially when it comes to UFOs. There's this whole theory that the airport is just a front for a massive underground government installation. Sounds out there, right? But there's a lot of strange stuff that's hard to explain when it comes to this city. This UFO sighting just adds to the list of mysteries surrounding Denver. Now, let's talk about another bizarre UFO incident that was caught on camera, this time near the Kilauea volcano in Hawaii. If you've been following these kinds of sightings, you'll know that volcanoes and UFOs seem to have some strange connection. People have seen UFOs not only flying over volcanoes, but also going down into them. It sounds unbelievable, but we've got footage to back it up. Some theories suggest that these UFOs might be harnessing energy from the volcanoes. Or maybe they're somehow preventing major eruptions. Who knows? This specific sighting I'm talking about was caught on a webcam that monitors the volcano. The footage was taken from a site called Toxico.com, and while the original clip has since been removed from the website, we've still got the footage. It shows a disc-shaped object flying near the volcano. What's interesting about this one is that you can actually make out some surface details. The object has that classic disc shape, but you can also see what looks like a porthole or some kind of indentation on the side. It's blurry, which makes sense because the object was moving pretty fast, but the shape is unmistakable. What makes this sighting even more suspicious is that the video was removed from the original source shortly after the object was caught on camera. That, of course, raises some red flags. Why would they take it down unless there's something about this sighting that they don't want people to see? And if you think this is a one-off, think again. The Kilauea volcano has been the subject of multiple UFO sightings. We've seen footage of strange craft flying around it before, including some cigar-shaped objects that were caught on video just as the volcano was erupting. It really makes you wonder what's going on. Now, if that wasn't enough, let's move on to the next sighting, which involves a double tornado in Germany. Yes, you heard that right. Twin tornadoes and a UFO all in one shot. The footage was sent to me by someone who had been researching storms in Germany. He found the video on a German website, and it shows these two massive tornadoes spinning through the countryside. What's wild, though, is that as the tornadoes are doing their thing, this white disc-shaped object flies past them at an insane speed. This thing isn't getting sucked into the tornadoes, which is important to note. If it were some kind of debris, or even an aircraft caught in the storm, it would have been pulled into one of the tornadoes. But this UFO just zooms past, like it's in its own world, completely unaffected by the chaos around it. I mean, we're talking speeds of over 100 miles per hour. Whatever it was fast and didn't seem to care that two tornadoes were ripping through the area. Now here's the thing. This sighting came from a place called Schleswig-Holstein, which is in northern Germany. It's a rural area, and these kinds of tornadoes aren't exactly common there. So the fact that a UFO was seen near this rare natural phenomenon makes it even more intriguing. After watching this footage a few times, it's clear that this wasn't something caught up in the wind. It moved too smoothly and too quickly to be just some random object. It had its own trajectory and didn't interact with the tornadoes at all. Definitely one of the more unique UFO sightings I've come across. And finally, let me show you one more sighting that came in around the same time. This one involves what's known as a TR-3B, which is a type of craft that's been reported many times over the years. People say these things are triangular shaped and have anti-gravity technology, allowing them to hover in one spot before darting off at incredible speeds. The person who captured this footage, Zachary Slate, said he was outside one night when he saw this triangular-shaped object hovering in the sky. He was able to snap a picture of it, and while the image is a bit blurry, you can clearly see the three lights on the bottom of the craft, which is a classic feature of the TR-3B. According to Zachary, the object didn't move at first. It just hovered there, completely still. But as soon as he pulled out his phone to take a picture, it started moving to the left. He managed to get a shot of it before it stopped and hovered again in the same spot for a few seconds. Then, just like that, it disappeared. Zachary was adamant that this wasn't a plane or a helicopter. The way it moved, especially when it started hovering again after moving to the left, rules out pretty much anything we know of in terms of conventional aircraft. This sighting is just one of many TR-3B reports we've had over the years, and the footage is always similar. Triangular craft, three lights, hovering, and then disappearing. Now let's talk about the most famous UFO sightings that took place on November 7th, 2006, at Chicago O'Hare International Airport. This incident sparked curiosity, confusion, and speculation, not only because of the strange object reported, but also due to the setting. One of the busiest airports in the world, with highly trained pilots and air traffic controllers involved. The sighting occurred in the late afternoon, around 4:30 p.m., when an airport employee working for United Airlines spotted a gray, disc-shaped object hovering in the sky above Gate C-17. According to witnesses, the object was stationary, silently hovering just beneath the cloud cover, which was approximately 1,900 feet above the ground. What struck everyone was how the object seemed to remain motionless, defying the usual behavior of any known aircraft. More witnesses quickly reported seeing the object. Ground crew workers, pilots, and passengers all began to notice it as well. The object was described as dark gray or metallic, with a distinct saucer-like shape. Several witnesses mentioned how the edges of the object seemed sharp and well-defined, rather than blurred or hazy. It appeared to have no visible lights, windows, or exhaust, and despite being in the middle of a busy airport, it emitted no sound at all. United Airlines and Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, employees began receiving reports from witnesses who saw the UFO from different locations at the airport. These reports came not just from casual onlookers, but also from airline employees and pilots, individuals who are trained to recognize all sorts of aerial phenomena. Some of the employees claimed that the object was hovering for about 5 minutes before suddenly shooting up into the clouds at an incredible speed, leaving behind a hole in the cloud cover. This was perhaps the most bizarre part of the entire incident. The hole in the clouds resembled something you would see if an object physically pierced through it. A circular hole that lingered for a few minutes before the clouds gradually filled it back in. What makes this sighting particularly compelling is the credibility of the witnesses. Many of those who saw the object were aviation professionals, individuals who deal with aircraft every day and are trained to recognize different types of planes, helicopters, and other aerial phenomena. These were not people who could easily be fooled by weather balloons, drones, or other common explanations often put forward for UFO sightings. Pilots and mechanics both reported the same thing: a stationary, silent object with a distinct shape, behaving in ways that defied the technology we know. One of the main pilots who witnessed the object immediately reported it to air traffic control. However, air traffic control at O'Hare claimed they did not pick up anything unusual on radar. This lack of radar confirmation led the FAA to initially dismiss the reports, claiming that it was simply a weather phenomenon, perhaps an unusual cloud formation or a visual trick caused by the overcast skies that day. This explanation didn't sit well with the witnesses, many of whom were adamant that what they saw was not a natural phenomenon. Despite the FAA's dismissal, the story leaked to the press. John Hilkovich, a transportation reporter for the Chicago Tribune, received a tip about the sighting and began investigating. When his article was published on January 1, 2007, it caused a significant stir. The story was picked up by major news outlets around the world, and the public began to demand answers. Many questioned why such a significant event, witnessed by multiple credible individuals, was being downplayed or ignored by the authorities. The FAA's explanation that the sighting was merely caused by weather didn't satisfy many people. Critics pointed out that weather phenomena don't typically create well-defined, disc-shaped objects that shoot up into the sky at high speeds. Additionally, the hole left in the clouds was a physical sign that something had pierced through them, which is not something you would expect from a simple weather anomaly. The official stance of the FAA was that they had no reason to investigate further because the object wasn't picked up on radar and didn't pose any safety risk to airport operations. But that didn't stop people from continuing to ask questions. One theory put forward was that the object could have been some type of experimental military craft. However, this theory didn't entirely fit either. Why would the military test an experimental craft over a major international airport, where the risk of being seen or causing an accident would be high? Moreover, the object's behavior, hovering silently and then shooting straight up into the clouds at high speed, didn't match the capabilities of any known military technology at the time. Another explanation floated by skeptics was that it could have been a prank or some sort of illusion. But again, this didn't hold much weight, given the sheer number of credible witnesses and the consistency of their reports. Many of those who saw the object were airline employees with years of experience observing aircraft and atmospheric conditions. They were convinced that what they saw was a physical object, not a trick of the light or a hoax. As with many UFO sightings, the lack of concrete evidence beyond eyewitness accounts has left the O'Hare UFO incident shrouded in mystery. No photos or videos of the object have ever surfaced, although it's worth noting that in 2006, smartphones with high-quality cameras were not as prevalent as they are today. Some witnesses reported seeing passengers attempting to take photos with their phones, but none of these images have ever been made public. Despite the lack of photographic evidence, the O'Hare UFO incident remains one of the most well-documented and credible sightings in recent history. The number of witnesses, many of whom were aviation professionals, makes it difficult to simply dismiss the event as a case of mass hysteria or misidentification. Furthermore, the strange behavior of the object, hovering silently and then shooting straight up through the clouds, doesn't fit with any known aircraft or natural phenomena. In the years since the sighting, the incident has continued to be a subject of interest for UFO researchers and enthusiasts. It has been featured in numerous documentaries, TV shows, and books about UFO sightings, and it is often cited as one of the best examples of a UFO encounter involving credible witnesses. The case also raises broader questions about how the government and institutions handle UFO sightings, particularly those that occur in sensitive areas like airports. Many people believe that incidents like the O'Hare sighting are deliberately downplayed or ignored by authorities because of the potential implications. If UFOs are real and represent advanced technology, either from another country or from extraterrestrial sources, it would have significant implications for national security and airspace control. Some argue that the government prefers to keep such incidents under wraps to avoid causing public panic or revealing potential vulnerabilities in our air defense systems. Others believe that the reluctance to acknowledge UFO sightings stems from a fear of ridicule. UFOs have long been associated with fringe beliefs and conspiracy theories, and many officials may be hesitant to take the subject seriously for fear of damaging their credibility. However, as more and more credible witnesses, such as pilots, military personnel, and air traffic controllers, come forward with their experiences, the stigma surrounding UFO sightings seems to be slowly eroding. In recent years, there has been a shift in how UFOs are perceived, particularly in the United States. In 2020, the Pentagon officially released 3 videos captured by Navy pilots showing unidentified aerial phenomena UAPs, which is the term now used to describe UFOs. These videos, which had been leaked years earlier, show objects performing maneuvers that defy the capabilities of known aircraft. The Pentagon's acknowledgement of these videos was seen by many as a significant step toward greater transparency on the issue of UFOs. While the O'Hare UFO incident remains unexplained, it continues to be a source of fascination for those interested in the possibility of extraterrestrial life or advanced technology beyond our understanding. The sighting serves as a reminder that even in our modern world, there are still mysteries in the skies that we have yet to fully comprehend. For those who witnessed the strange object that day, the event left a lasting impression. Many of the witnesses have spoken publicly about their experience, expressing frustration that the sighting was not taken more seriously by the authorities. They remain convinced that what they saw was not a plane, helicopter, or weather phenomenon, but something truly unusual. As UFO sightings continue to be reported around the world, the O'Hare incident stands out as one of the most compelling cases, not only because of the credibility of the witnesses, but also because of the mysterious behavior of the object itself. Whether it was an advanced military craft, an extraterrestrial vehicle, or something else entirely, the truth about what happened that day remains elusive. The O'Hare UFO sighting didn't just fade away with time. It continues to be a topic of intrigue, partly because it highlights a broader issue in UFO research: how often these events are left unresolved. Despite the multitude of witnesses, no official investigation was carried out by the FAA or other government agencies beyond the initial radar checks, which raises questions about how UFO encounters are prioritized by authorities. The lack of transparency fuels ongoing speculation and frustration among both the public and UFO researchers. People want answers, and events like this, where credible sources and trained professionals offer consistent testimonies, deserve more than just a dismissive explanation. The incident also sparked a cultural impact. It became part of the broader UFO lore, joining other famous cases in shaping public perceptions about extraterrestrial life and the unknown. The O'Hare sighting is still referenced in discussions about UFOs and has been featured in popular media, from news outlets to documentaries and podcasts. Its location, a major airport, gives it a particular weight, as it wasn't some obscure rural sighting, but something that took place in one of the busiest airspaces in the world.